Hello. We are here, and I am so excited just to sit down with my good friend, my sister in Christ, and just get set for season 3. I'm gonna let her introduce herself because if I do that, I'm talking about everything. Okay. So come on, sis, talk about who you are and just tell people about your life.
Yeah, so who am I? First of all, thank you. I think I told you earlier, like it's just so exciting to be a part of your baby, like to be a part of your vision and a part of what you're doing. So thank you for having me. Especially for season 3. Let's go. Y'all tap in, share. Let's pour in because I've got a chance to listen to your episodes and I'm really excited about what you're doing with so many people. So I could also go on and on about you, but just to share a little bit about myself. So my name is Devina Codes. I am the mom of 4, the wife of 1. And so I'm a mom, a wife. I have a grandson. I'm a business professional, as well as an entrepreneur. Just started a podcast, Doing Too Much podcast with my co-host ShenikaAG and Whitney, and really had an opportunity to just let that be my yes. And so I'm excited to kind of share what little nuggets I have with you guys today. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited because not only does she has a podcast, um, great podcast.
Thank you.
So much. He's balancing like so much entrepreneur, business, and so we're gonna dive into what's your word for 2023.
Yeah. So I have 2, if I could share with y'all 2
Yeah,
words.
phrases, words, statements, what God
Uh-huh.
has placed on your heart.
Yeah. So what is in my heart is first order, right? So my word going into 2023 would be order. Because as I look around with all the different things that I have to manage and all the different things that I've been entrusted with, whether it be my health, my family, business, different things in ministry, I have to have order with all of those things because it allows people to come into a prepared space, right? And then my second word for 2023 would be overflow, because that's firmly what I believe is headed in my way and the people that I'm connected to, and just in general, right? And so to be prepared for overflow, you have to have order. But I stand in expectation that it's coming. So, and I'm not just talking about money, although that's coming too, right? And but I'm thinking about the overflow and just being able to have impact and being able to show people a better way. So those are my 2 words for 2023.
That's good. Order, overflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
That's,
about you?
oh, well, me? Honestly, that's something I have to circle back on.
Okay.
But right now it's probably honesty.
Wow.
And to be honest, let's dive into more about your podcast, Doing Too Much. Tell us more about how that started and that vision.
Wow. So Doing Too Much was a vision over 8 years ago. So if I had to call myself a visionary, right? 8 years ago, when when things were becoming more and more popular, like share real and raw content online, like from a first person view without being produced. We're in the age now in 2022 where TikTok makes you famous and repeating the lines in a movie with the right background makes you famous. But back 8 years ago, I just wanted to kind of share some of the knowledge that I had. And I was so excited about finding a way to kind of get that out to people, because I had an area of influence where I was in the corporate world, but there were so many people who needed it, right? So I had this idea for a podcast, but I was stifled by my own perfection. I wanted a logo and merch and a website and all the things. Do I have a co-host? Do I not have a co-host? How often do I go on? I even talked to my husband about getting us a new house that had a podcast room. So all of these things, remind you, I had a daughter born 8 years ago. So I was a new mom, balancing all of those things. And I kind of overworked myself from being able to make that podcast happen. The perfectionist in me analyzed everything so much that I just didn't end up doing anything. And day after day would pass, and I was no closer to getting a podcast launched than ever before until 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, until 2021, I got connected with Whitney Story and Shanika Grant. I met them through our church, Forward City Church, and we became friends. Like outside of anything else that we had going on, we just was like, there's something sweet here. Like there's something really, really cool with our friendship. And often we would just have FaceTime chats that last hours. And I would ask them about their dreams because I'm really, really good at kind of helping people push their dreams forward. Is something that I'm good at. And so I would help them with like strategy and different marketing opportunities and people that they would connect with. And they finally turned the tables on me, kind of like I just did with you. And they
Right.
was like, Davina, what's your dream beyond? What's your thing? And I lightly mentioned that, yeah, well, I wanted a podcast, but it just didn't work out. And so over our conversations, they would kind of dive into it until last year. They kind of pushed me, right? And I was like, well, we'll see. We'll plan it. Let's get a logo. I went back into those same old things. Let's get a logo. Let's get some colors. Let's meet somewhere, all that kind of stuff. This year, Whitney finally was just like, y'all, let's just do it. We talk every day. These conversations are too good to hold. So we already called ourselves doing too much. We launched a podcast. We turned on some cameras, jumped on a Zoom call, and really just said yes to showing people what true, authentic friendship is like. So you'll hear a lot of laughter. The podcast is really like being on like a three-way call and eavesdropping on us as we navigate life, motherhood, career, ministry, different things like that. It's really fun.
And that's so good. Like you need that rawness,
Yeah.
and you saying, yeah, you had a dream, you're gonna do it. And I'm complete opposite. I was just helping people. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. Yeah, I know how to do
Mhm.
a podcast. Yeah, I know how to do the devotional. Yeah, I knew all that. I was like, you want to do it for yourself? I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm straight. I'm good. And then God's like, nah, I need you to do it for yourself. So I'm like, okay, let's let's do that. Let's be an entrepreneur. And so let's
Do
talk
it.
about being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
You have that business professional, you do it's not doing too much, it's doing exactly enough.
Exactly.
So balancing being a visionary to your self-love journey, to
Wow.
being a wife, to being a mom, a grandma. Like, how are you balancing all of this time?
Oh man, order.
Order, yes.
Order. And I think the best part about balancing is that I know that it has to be balanced for me. Um, and what that means for me is sometimes I learned the power of no, right? And I know we throw that around, and no is a complete sentence, and it is. But when you are someone who loves hard and you really care about people, it is hard to say no. But I found my balance in, for one, asking for help. So if I had to drop tips, like if we could put in a lower third, get help.
Get help.
I would say get help. I've learned to be vulnerable enough to ask for help. And you'd be surprised that when you love people and you show people who you truly are, how many people are willing to make time to help you push the vision forward. So that could mean me asking for help, hiring my strengths, or if I know somebody who's great at communications like you, saying, hey, will you help me with this? And if you don't have time, that's fine. But if you do, it will be grateful. And then setting expectations for what I'll have for them, because I don't want to take the burden off of my shoulders and put it onto yours. We're in partnership. And so I would say definitely getting help creates balance. And then understanding what's important to me. What's so funny, Shanika, is I recently had somebody say that my religion was like a cult, right? And so
Oh,
yeah, somebody that I do life with, right? Somebody who I've made life changes for, and that I've tried to create balance for as well. And I had to really understand that that's because what's important to one person is not important to another person. And if you understood the value that comes along with community, and if you understood the value that comes along with understanding the God that I serve, and the God that allowed us both to even be on this phone call right now, if you understood that, then you would value what things I put in perspective. But different priorities mean things to different people, right? So
hard.
balance for me meant not trying to convince that person to do it my way, but really showing up in the fullness of who I am, showing full love, offering myself as someone to learn from, but also allowing them to walk out their own journey, because in a few years, that person could very likely come back and say, you know what, I've learned something different now. So balance for me is hiring my help, being available for people to ask questions to, as well as to be a student. When I walk in a room, I don't walk in a room as the teacher, the professor, the leader, the entrepreneur. I walk in as a servant, and I walk in as a student. And so that helps me create balance, because that helps me be sensitive on when to ask my husband, like, hey, do you need a break? Like, I know I do a lot, and that leaves you to have to do a lot at the house.
Yeah.
You want to go to the movies on me? Like, do you want me to take the kids for a long car ride? It also helps me when to know to take a day for myself, to just go to the beach, or to do nothing, or to leave the laundry one more day in that laundry basket. All of those
That's
things.
real talk though.
Yeah. Like, that's self-love. The 8-year-old version of me, the Devina back 8 years ago, would have done the laundry, cleaned the house, made the meal, made time for friends, overbooked herself, done all those things, and been left empty at the end of the day with no space for myself. And wondering why people didn't see me, why people didn't help me, why people didn't want to do things for me. It's because I walked in saying, I got it, I can do it, there's nothing wrong. And there's a sweet, sweet space of being able to do life with somebody, to the point where they'll say, hey, do you need help? Is there anything I can do for you? Let me help you with this, and let me take the load off of you. And I think it's a big circle. That's what I tell anybody I love. It's a big circle. The more you give to people, the more people will give to you, and you don't leave feeling like you're holding all the weight on your own shoulders.
And be open to receive.
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes we get our own people to
Yes.
like our own blessing. I'm like,
Yes. Yeah.
why not? Why not receive it?
Yeah. But that's big. Like, even dive into that. So what does that mean to you to be open to see?
Yeah. Listen, but I love it. I love it. Be open and just receive the help. Receive, like, there's no strings attached. People's like, yeah, there's strings attached. Sometimes there's no strings attached.
There's no strings attached.
There's none.
And it feels so much better to receive something when there is no strings attached, and you kind of know it, right? There's times, and there may be people that are watching or listening, who, like, somebody will do something for you, and I used to be like this, so maybe I'm talking to the old me, and I would immediately think, how can I do something for them? If somebody gave me, like, somebody bought me dinner, I would be like, oh, I gotta buy them lunch by next Friday.
How can I outdo them?
Yes. Like, what do I need to do to let them know that I'm not using you, or that I'm not in need, or like, all of those things. But what you'll learn from just letting people, allowing the seed to happen, is that you already do that for so many people. So why don't you think that you're worth it to get it back? That's right. So that is a place of self-love right there, knowing that the things that people do for me and with me is a direct reflection of me being able to do that for so many people and really have no strings attached. I can give something to somebody and my hands are off of it. So why wouldn't I believe that somebody just wants to do that for me? And they do. And through that, I've grown so much in loving myself, that it's night and day.
Okay. Seed, ground, all of it.
Yes.
And my final question is, any advice for entrepreneurs? We talked about it. We dropped nuggets. If y'all not taking notes, you're not really listening, there's so many nuggets in here. But also more advice for entrepreneurs who may feel scared or stuck on their journey to just start.
Yeah.
I
think our stories kind of have the same thread, the golden thread, and that is, like, literally just do it. And if it's in you to do something, just try it. I think the perfectionism or the judgment that you think, like, first of all, so many people have a podcast, right? So why do they need to hear from me or from you or
podcasts, devotionals, blogs, all of it, YouTube
books,
like books.
but they're all necessary, right? And so I think for entrepreneurs out there who are trying to determine, like, okay, I have a vision. First, write it down. That's biblical, right? Write down what your vision is, and then ask God for the how. Ask God for how to navigate the space. Who do I need to connect with? What do I need to do? And if it's not natural for you to just turn on a camera and start a podcast, and you're somebody who is very structured, right? If you're somebody who needs to see a plan and have it worked out, then create the plan, right? Have at least one person. So my second nugget would be, have at least one person that you're able to pour that vision out to, because they will help remind you. They'll help remind you of your why. When you do go viral and you think it's you because you got the right reel, or you got the right caption, or you had on the right clothes, it's not you, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so have somebody who can keep you humble in a loving way. But also have somebody that when you feel like, man, only 13 people liked it, or only 300 people watched my video, that will keep you rooted in your why. That this is something that was given to you, that you are doing the work. And if it changes somebody's life, then that's enough. And if it changes your life, then you are enough. And so that part was so helpful for me, without having to look at the algorithm and look at the numbers. Just do it. If it's a shoe, if it's a podcast, if it's digital content, pour into that. And then also last thing, the third thing would help somebody else. Right? There is somebody in your sphere of influence that is doing a thing that they're scared to do. They're doing it afraid, or they're doing it for the first time. Ask them how they can help. If that's sharing, liking, commenting, or if that's joining, if that's buying the shoe, if that's showing up and helping prep for an event, if they're an event planner, whatever that thing is, be a help to somebody else, because there will be a time where you will need the hands and feet of somebody else. And so those will be my 3 tips.
True. Just so much. So
yeah. Hopefully not too much.
Oh no, it's so good. It's
because I do too much. You know what I'm saying?
and it's everything that you need.
Yeah.
We're uniquely for the exact audience, the exact people, the exact timing of all things.
Absolutely.
So I'm truly excited that I get to not only be on a podcast, but interview someone else that has a podcast.
Yes.
That's you don't see that.
I'm happy to be here.
And I'm truly excited for it and what God is going to do through it, through you, through your family, and the next steps.
Me too.
So how can people connect with you on social media and just follow, engage?
Absolutely. And we would love that, right? Because we're building a platform. So so tap in. On Instagram, it's dm.dtm podcast, right? On Facebook, it's just doing DOIN' too much. And so those are the 2 ways that you can connect with our podcast. And just stay tuned for what we're doing, right? I'm excited for where it's going. So that's where you can find me.
Yes. And thank you again. And stay tuned. We got more coming.
I'm excited for season 3, y'all. I'm excited.